Hello guys and welcome to another ProfileTree video. So in today's video we're going to be taking a look at what is a dedicated server. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started. So just before we get talking on hardware resources, what exactly is a dedicated server? So a dedicated server is also known as a bare metal server. Now it's a type of web hosting service where an entire physical server is allocated to a single customer or organization. In contrast to shared hosting or virtual private servers, this is where multiple users share the same physical server's resources. Now, a dedicated server provides exclusive use of the server's computing power, storage, and network bandwidth to a single client. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the hardware resources. So hardware resources, a dedicated server provides all the computing resources, that's like CPU, RAM, storage, etc., and of the entire physical machine to the client. Now, this means that the client has complete control over the server's resources, which allow for better performance and scalability. Now, just to further explain hardware resources in detail, we're actually going to take a look at the different servers in detail. So we'll check it out now. We've actually got one here. So this is a couple of different ones there. You've got a Tor server, Rec server, and Blade server. Now, they are a different form factor of physical servers, and each, of course, are designed to meet specific space and scalability requirements in data centers or server environments. Now, these are all, of course, very important for any web application to have. Anyway, we'll explain in detail. So, first of all, with the Tor server, a Tor server is a standalone server that is designed to be placed and operated on the floor or a desk. So that's similar to a desktop computer tower. So tower servers are typically used in small businesses. So that'll be like small e-commerce websites as well, or small websites in general. It can be used for remote offices or environments where there's no dedicated server room or equipment rack. Now, these are easy to deploy and manage and often come with built-in components like power supplies and cooling systems. Now, advantage of having a Tor server is that it is easy to set up and maintain. It's suitable for small scale or standalone applications, and there's no need for a dedicated server rack. It's got a couple of limitations as well, which is less efficient use of floor space in data centers compared to rack servers, and may not scale as well as rack or blade servers in a large scale environment. Now, our next one there is a rack server, which is a little bit bigger. Now, this actually is explained in detail. A rack server is basically designed to be mounted in like a standard 19-inch equipment rack alongside with other servers and network equipment. Rack servers are popular in data centers and server rooms where space efficiency and organization are crucial. They come in different heights, and I'll actually show you guys an explanation on it. So we can see here that 1U, so this is the most compact form factor in a rack mount configuration, and it's often referred to as a pizza box server because it's that small. So it could be used for a website or that for a dedicated server. Now there's 2U. Now these servers are approximately 3.5 inches high and are typically used when more processing power or storage is required. And 4U, so these servers are approximately 7 inches high and are often used for high performance computing, HPC, and running resource intensive applications. So that's just a detailed look over the rack mount servers. And what are the advantages of a rack server? So I would say it's space efficient and suitable for large scale deployment. It's easy to manage and organize with standardized rack dimensions. It's scalable as well, so as multiple servers can be stacked vertically in a single rack, so that's what's pretty good about it. So as we learned from 1U, 2U, and 4U. And it does have its limitations, so it requires a dedicated server rack and may not be practical for small offices or limited space environments. And it may require additional accessories like sliding rails for easy installation and maintenance. So that can be a couple of the downfall for it. And of course, these servers are going to take up room regardless. So usually space would be key for this. Now our next one there is a Blade server. Now a Blade server is a modular server design that fits into a Blade enclosure. Now the enclosure houses multiple Blade servers, power supplies, and cooling systems. Blade servers are designed for high density computing and efficient use of space and power in large data centers. So that's just a little bit more detail on the Blade servers. So Blade servers have a thin form factor that facilitates high density server deployments. Multiple server modules are mounted horizontally in the same Blade chassis to reduce energy consumption and cabling complexity. Now, taking a look at the advantages of Blade Server, I would say it has the highest space efficiency with multiple servers sharing a single enclosure. It's got centralized power and cooling management for the entire Blade enclosure as well, and it's easy scalability, as additional Blade servers can be added or replaced without disrupting the enclosure's operation. What exactly is the downfall to this, or the limitations? I would say it requires a Blade enclosure, which of course adds initial cost. Then you've got limited customization options compared to the traditional rack servers. So that's a couple of the issues with Blade Server, but more advantages than disadvantages. Now, as well as that, there are other servers out there as well, which is microservers, and they are low power servers which are designed for lightweight workloads, and they are smaller than traditional servers and often have fewer hardware components and management features. Now, this form factor can be a cost-effective choice for specific Internet of Things applications. And you also have OCP servers. So I didn't think the man mention these, but OCP servers are based on the open hardware design principles of the Open Compute Project, an initiative started by Facebook Design. So that's just basically a couple of the form factors of OCP, which is OpenRec, and it's OpenU, so it's not 1U, 2U, or 4U. So it's meant to be designed to reduce power consumption, as you can see. It's got an open bridge rack as well, and mezzanine. So mezzanine is an OCP form factor that can be inserted vertically into the server chassis like a Blade server. So it has the best of both worlds in terms of Blade server and microserver. So mezzanines are commonly used in high density computing environments. So our next one is isolation and security. So since it is a dedicated server, it's not shared with other users, and it offers a higher level of security and isolation. So you wouldn't really get any risk of other users affecting the performance or security of the server. So just to further explain in detail about isolation and security, they're basically the two critical aspects that ensure the integrity and protection of the client's data and resources. Now, isolation in a dedicated server refers to the complete separation of resources between different clients, and each dedicated server is a standalone physical machine with its own CPU, RAM, storage, and network connectivity. Now, isolation ensures that the actions and resource consumption of one client do not impact the performance or security of other clients' applications running on a separate dedicated server. So we've got a couple of stuffs there, like resource allocation. And what that is that the client has full control over the server's resources and no other clients can share them. This guarantees that the client's applications have consistent access to the resources they need. Then, of course, you have data separation, and this is where the client's data is stored separately on the dedicated server, and that ensures that it remains isolated and secure from other clients' data. Then our next one is network isolation, and each dedicated server has its own network connectivity, reducing the risk of unauthorized access or data interception between different clients. Now, just talking briefly on security. Dedicated servers offer several security advantages due to their isolated nature, and the client has more control over security configurations and can implement security specific measures to protect their applications and data. So they do have customizable items as well, and which we will move on to the next section later on. But you have customizable firewall settings, so they can configure their firewalls if they need to as well, just to block any unwanted traffic and preventing unauthorized access. They also have access control and operating system control, so they can configure the preferred operating system, and as well as that, they can manage and user access and permissions, which limits the interaction with server and its data, which is good for the company or whoever the client is. And of course, there's security audits and monitoring. So clients have the flexibility to perform security audits and monitor of their dedicated server to detect and mitigate potential threats proactively. So that's a good thing about the security audits. But one thing to note, even if you are or you do have isolation and security with a dedicated server, is that it is important to note that there are or is a sense of that responsibility between the hosting provider and client when it comes to security. So the hosting provider is responsible, of course, for the physical security of the server and hardware and the data center environment, while the client is responsible for securing their applications data and configurations on the server. So you can't purely rely on the dedicated server's security. So our next one is customization and flexibility. So with a dedicated server, clients have the freedom to install and configure software and applications according to their specific needs. Now they can choose the operating system, software stack, and of course any other configurations. So we'll take a look at how the customization and flexibility play a key role in a dedicated server. So our first one there is the choice of operating system. So as I've mentioned before, clients can choose the operating system that best suits their applications and preferences. So this could be a Windows server, it could be a various Linux distribution, or any other specialized OS options. So clients can install and configure the OS or operating system of their choice on the dedicated server. Next one is the software stack selection. Now, clients have the freedom to install and use the software stack that matches their application's requirements. So they can install web servers like Apache, or they can install databases like MySQL or PostgreSQL, and then programming languages like Python, PHP, Ruby, so any other applications needed for their specific use. Next up is resource allocation. So with a dedicated server, clients have exclusive access to the server's computing resources, including CPU, RAM, and storage, and they can allocate resources based on their application's performance needs, ensuring optimal performance and responsiveness. Next one there is scalability. Now, dedicated servers can be easily scaled up or down as the client needs change over time. So additional resources such as CPU cores, RAM, or storage, so this is all the physical stuff, can be added to the server without disrupting operations, allowing the client to handle increasing demands. So when you are adding CPU, RAM, or storage, what you may or may not have to do is update and install. So you may have to run a software depending on what you're running. So just be wary of that. It's not all truth when disrupting operations. It can disrupt a little bit, but maybe just lower the performance, things like that. So just take a note on that in terms of scalability. And pretty much the list for customization goes on. You've got security and firewall configuration, which I've mentioned earlier on, and that's when they can do some custom security measures, configure firewalls and set up security software, just basically tailored to their specific security needs. You could do a backup and disaster recovery as well. So if they want to have that ability to back up their application or whatever they have, they could do that according to their own preferences and like their own solutions as well. You got root and administrator access, so just a whole bunch of customization for a dedicated server, which makes it a handy thing to use. So server management in a dedicated server environment refers to the tasks and responsibilities involved in maintaining, configuring, and securing the server to ensure its optimal performance, reliability, and security. Now, as the client has full control over the server, they are responsible for managing various aspects of the server's operation, and we're going to go through the key aspects of server management in a dedicated server. First one is the operating system management. Now, client is responsible for installing, configuring, and maintaining an operating system, which we've mentioned earlier before. And this includes updating, patches, security fixes, just to maintain and keep the server up to date and secure. Next is the software installation and configuration. Now, clients are responsible for installing and configuring the software applications and services needed to run their specific applications. That would include the web servers, databases, programming languages, content management systems if they are using a CMS system, and any other software required for the server's intended use. Then, of course, you have your resource allocation monitoring. So clients would need to monitor the server's resource usage, and that includes CPU, RAM, disk space, and network bandwidth, and that's to ensure efficient resource allocation. And scaling resources appropriately based on usage patterns is essential for maintaining optimal performance. Now, our next one is security measures, and with the security measures, this is where you implement the firewalls, make sure you set up intrusion detection and prevention systems, and apply security best practices to protect the server from potential threats. So that's a couple of the other ones there. Now, you do also have like backup and disaster recovery that you need to make sure you manage user access and permissions. Make sure you take a look at the logging and monitoring. That's where you can track the server performance, just identify any potential issues and troubleshoot problems proactively. You also have performance optimization, which I'll actually demonstrate now. So if we go ahead and open up our website here. So take this for an example for the web server settings, just for example. You can always check the performance of a website, but you can also check the performance of a server. Now you could use the likes of Manage Engine, so you could check up the server monitoring, check up the speed, make sure it's up to the optimization should be at. Check the database performance through this as well. You can see the caching mechanisms, which is to ensure, of course, the best possible performance for the applications running on that particular server. So that's one of them. There's Manage Engine, which you could use. And of course, there will be other different types of websites or applications that you can use in order to check the performance optimization. So since we've actually discussed about the performance in a couple of these sections there, what I want to talk about is the scalability. So you want to just make sure that you have room for upgrading to a powerful CPU or additional RAM, expanding storage capacity, as that can be important for your dedicated server, and that would be called vertical scalability. Now, horizontal scalability, while dedicated servers are not inherently designed for horizontal scalability, they can still achieve it by implementing server clustering. So clients can do this. They can create a load balanced cluster of dedicated servers to distribute incoming traffic and share the workload across multiple machines. Now, there's other ones like cloud integration as well. You've got application design considerations and automated provisioning. Overall, just make sure that you've got room for scalability in the future for your dedicated server. And of course, the client's technical expertise that comes into hand as well to manage their application requirements. Now, our very last one here is cost. Now, the cost of a dedicated server can vary significantly, and it all depends on several factors. First one being your hosting provider. So just think about the different dedicated servers at varying price points. Make sure that you go for maybe a reputable hosting company. And however, if you do go for a reputable hosting company, expect to pay premium prices for their services. Then of course you've got management level, so some hosting providers offer managed dedicated server hosting where they handle server management, tasks, updates, and security. Just to further explain, here's one here. So we've actually got Hive for managed hosting. So just double check their pricing points, what the billing model has to offer. So dedicated server pricing can be offered on different billing cycles. So it could be monthly, quarterly, yearly, or long-term contracts if you're with this particular, or if you're a particular client for these people. And of course, just go over everything. Make sure you get in touch with the provider that you want to go for. Ask if they offer any additional services, and of course, the most important one is location as well. So the server's physical location can influence its price. Servers located in regions with higher demand or more advanced infrastructure may be more expensive, so take that into account. Then think about the bandwidth and data transfer as well. So some hosting providers charge based on the amount of data transferred over the network. High bandwidth requirements or excessive data usage can affect the total cost. So there are a lot of things to consider. Of course, they do offer some specifications, as you can see, like processors, you've got memory, operating system, your storage, database software, virtualization, security, and networking. So there's one there, Hive. So that's just an example. Of course, you may have someone who's cheaper or someone who's more reputable. But yes, that is the cost, and do expect to maybe pay about $50 to $100 or pounds per month for basic configurations. And of course, there are hidden costs or fees, maybe to look for or to look into. So just be aware with that. You may have to pay additional fees for like starting it up, or maybe for the support and the security features to obviously protect your dedicated server. So a lot of factors to consider when it comes to the cost. But there you have it, guys. That was an explanation on a dedicated server. Hopefully this video has helped explain it. If it did, please do leave us a comment in the comment section below. But other than that, I'll see you guys for the next video. Thank you very much for watching.